Tonight, we are taking a slow journey into molecules, the tiny shapes and bonds that help create water, scent, taste, color, crystals, life, and the quiet chemistry of everyday things. If this helped you relax or fall asleep, I'd love to know what gentle chemistry topic you want next. Water, fire, crystals, colors, carbon, chemical bonds, soap, rain, and clouds, or the chemistry of sleep. Sleep well, and let the molecules drift softly in the background. Tonight, we are going to take a slow and quiet journey into the world of molecules. Not as a difficult chemistry lesson. Not as something you need to memorize. And not as a list of formulas, structures, and names to hold tightly in your mind. But as a gentle story about how tiny atoms connect. How they come together. How they form shapes. How those shapes become water, air, sugar, scent, color, life, and the soft ordinary world around you. In the last quiet journey, we looked at atoms. Small centers. Soft electron clouds. Tiny structures of matter. But atoms do not always stay alone. Very often, they join. They share. They arrange. They become something more than themselves. And when atoms connect in certain ways, they can form molecules. A molecule can be very simple. Two atoms together, like oxygen in the air. Or it can be more complex, like sugar, or caffeine, or the scent of lavender, or the long, folded molecules inside living cells. You do not need to remember every term tonight. You do not need to study. You do not need to understand every structure perfectly. If your mind begins to drift, that is completely okay. This is not a lesson to pass. It is a soft walk through chemistry. A slow look at the hidden arrangements behind familiar things. So let your body become comfortable. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your breathing become slower. And imagine, for a moment, a tiny world too small for the eyes. A dark, quiet space. Small atoms glowing softly like points of light. Some drifting alone. Some moving closer. Some sharing electrons. Some forming delicate shapes. A pear. A triangle. A chain. A ring. A spiral. A long folded ribbon. A crystal pattern. A drop of water. A breath of air. A living cell. Welcome to Gentle Chemistry. Tonight, we are exploring molecules, slowly and softly, before sleep. Before we look closely at molecules, let's return to the simple idea of an atom. An atom is one of the tiny building blocks of matter. Hydrogen is an atom. Oxygen is an atom. Carbon is an atom. Nitrogen is an atom. Gold, iron, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, and calcium are all atoms when they exist as individual particles of those elements. Each atom has a nucleus. Each has electrons. Each has its own identity, given by the number of protons in its center. But atoms are not only defined by what is inside them. They are also defined by how they can interact with other atoms. Some atoms are calm and reluctant to bond. Some are eager to share. Some give away electrons. Some receive electrons. Some form one bond. Some form two. Some form four. Some can build long chains and complicated frameworks. This is where molecules begin. A molecule is a group of atoms held together by chemical bonds. And before we move further, it may help to let the word bond become soft and simple. A chemical bond is not a tiny rope. It is not a little stick, even though we often draw bonds as lines between atoms. A bond is an attraction, a pattern of electrons and energy that helps atoms stay together. Sometimes atoms share electrons. This is called a covalent bond. You can imagine two atoms gently holding the same little cloud of electrons between them. Not like two hands gripping tightly. More like two quiet centers sharing a soft space. Water has covalent bonds. Oxygen and hydrogen share electrons in a way that holds the water molecule together. Sometimes atoms do not share equally. One atom may give an electron to another. Then one becomes positively charged, and the other becomes negatively charged. Opposite charges attract. This kind of attraction helps create ionic compounds, like table salt. Sodium and chloride are not a small molecule in the same way water is. They form a large repeating pattern of ions. But the idea is still useful. Atoms and particles stay together because of attractions. Some strong, some subtle, some inside molecules, some between molecules. And there are also gentle attractions between molecules themselves. Water molecules, for example, attract one another through hydrogen bonding. This is not the same as the covalent bonds inside a water molecule. It is more like a soft pull between neighboring molecules. A quiet attraction that helps water behave the way it does. So when we talk about molecules, we are really talking about connection. Atoms connected by shared electrons. Charged particles attracted to one another. Molecules gently pulling on nearby molecules. The world is held together by many kinds of invisible connection. That is the simple definition. A group of atoms. Held together. By bonds. But the feeling of a molecule is richer than that. A molecule is a tiny arrangement. A little architecture. A pattern of atoms in space. It has a shape. It has a size. It has a way of moving. It has a way of interacting with light, heat, water, air, and other molecules. And from those tiny arrangements, the familiar properties of the world appear. Water is wet because of molecules. Perfume has scent because of molecules. Sugar tastes sweet because of molecules. Soap cleans because of molecules. Wood burns because of molecules. Leaves are green because of molecules. Your body functions because of molecules. Molecules are the quiet middle layer between atoms and the world we experience. Atoms are the letters. Molecules are the words. And matter is the story they write together. One of the simplest molecules is hydrogen gas. Hydrogen atoms can pair together. Two hydrogen atoms form a hydrogen molecule. H2. A very small molecule. Just two atoms. Oxygen gas is also often found as a two-atom molecule. O2. Two oxygen atoms bonded together. Nitrogen in the air is usually N2. Two nitrogen atoms held by a very strong bond. These simple molecules drift through the atmosphere. Invisible. Quiet. Essential. When you breathe, oxygen molecules enter your body. Nitrogen molecules enter too, mostly passing in and out without being used in the same direct way. The air does not look like a mixture of tiny pairs of atoms. It looks like nothing. Transparent space. But chemically, the air is full of molecules. Moving quickly. Bouncing. Spreading. Filling the room. Every breath is molecular. Every scent is molecular. Every breeze is a moving cloud of molecules. This is one of the gentle shifts chemistry gives us. The invisible becomes full. The empty room becomes active. The air becomes a quiet sea of tiny moving structures. Now let's think about water. Water is one of the most familiar molecules in the world. Its formula is H2O. Two hydrogen atoms. One oxygen atom. A small molecule. But not a straight line. Water has a bent shape. The oxygen sits near the center. The two hydrogens attach at an angle. This little shape matters. A molecule's shape is not just decorative. Shape affects behavior. Water is also polar. That means one side of the molecule is slightly more negative, and the other side is slightly more positive. The oxygen side is slightly negative. The hydrogen side is slightly positive. Because of this, water molecules are attracted to one another. The slightly positive hydrogens of one water molecule are drawn toward the slightly negative oxygen of another. This creates hydrogen bonding. You do not need to hold on to that phrase. Just imagine water molecules gently reaching toward each other. Not with hands, but with tiny electrical attractions. These attractions help give water many of its remarkable properties. Water can form droplets. Water has surface tension. Water can climb in tiny spaces. Water can dissolve many substances. Water can absorb and carry heat. Water can freeze into ice, flow as liquid, and rise as vapor. All of this begins with a small bent molecule. 2 hydrogens. 1 oxygen. A simple shape. A world-changing substance. If you have a glass of water nearby, you can imagine it differently now. Not as a continuous, simple liquid, but as an enormous gathering of molecules. Each one tiny. Each one bent. Each one moving. Each one attracted to its neighbors. They tumble and slide. They form temporary connections. They separate and reconnect. They respond to warmth. They slow down in the cold. They arrange into ice when frozen. They escape as vapor when heated. A glass of water may look still, but at the molecular level, it is full of motion. Soft, constant, hidden motion. This is true of many things around you. Stillness on the surface. Motion underneath. A quiet object. A restless molecular world. And you do not need to follow every molecule. You can simply let the idea drift by. Water is not only wet. It is a community of small bent molecules, gently attracting one another in the dark. Molecules can be made of only 2 atoms, or 3, or many more. Carbon dioxide is a molecule made of 1 carbon atom and 2 oxygen atoms. CO2. It has a simple linear shape. 1 oxygen on one side. Carbon in the middle. 1 oxygen on the other side. Carbon dioxide is invisible in the air. You breathe it out. Plants take it in. It dissolves in oceans. It plays a role in Earth's climate. It appears in bubbles in sparkling water. A simple molecule can belong to breath, plants, oceans, rocks, and the atmosphere. Methane is another small molecule. 1 carbon atom. 4 hydrogen atoms. CH4. Methane has a tetrahedral shape. A carbon in the center. Hydrogens arranged around it. It is a gas. It can burn. It is found in natural gas. It can also be produced by living processes. Again, a tiny molecular shape connects to energy, earth, and life. Ammonia is made of nitrogen and hydrogen. NH3. It has its own shape, its own smell, and its own chemistry. Every small molecule has a structure, and every structure creates behavior. This is one of the central ideas of chemistry. Form and function are connected. The shape of a molecule helps decide what it does. This idea is worth resting with for a moment. A molecule is not just a formula written on a page. A formula tells us what atoms are present, but it does not always show the full 3-dimensional shape. And shape can be everything. Water and carbon dioxide both contain oxygen. But water is bent, while carbon dioxide is straight. That difference in shape changes how they behave. Methane has 1 carbon atom with 4 hydrogens arranged around it in 3 dimensions. It is not flat like a drawing on paper. It has a tiny spatial form. Many scent molecules work because of shape. They fit into receptors in the nose in particular ways. Many medicines work because of shape. They interact with proteins in the body in specific ways. Proteins themselves work because they fold into shapes. If a protein folds differently, it may behave differently. DNA carries information not only because of the atoms it contains, but because of the order and structure of those atoms. So chemistry is not only about ingredients. It is also about geometry. Tiny geometry. Invisible architecture. The angle in a water molecule. The ring in a sugar molecule. The spiral of DNA. The folded shape of a protein. The long chain of a polymer. The repeating pattern of a crystal. A molecule has a body of its own. A very small body, but still a shape. And that shape helps decide how it moves through the world. The shape of a molecule helps decide what it does. Now, if that begins to feel like many formulas, you can let the formulas fade. You do not need to remember H2O, or CO2, or CH4, or NH3. You can remember something softer. Molecules are arrangements, tiny shapes made from atoms. And those shapes matter. A molecule can be bent, straight, compact, long, branched, ring-shaped, folded, flat, three-dimensional. And from these shapes come properties: smell, taste, color, solubility, reactivity, texture, melting point, boiling point, life. The world of molecules is a world of tiny architecture, a world where invisible shapes become visible experiences. Carbon is one of the most important atoms for building molecules. Carbon is special because it can form 4 bonds. It can bond with hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, and very importantly, carbon can bond with itself. Carbon atoms can form chains, long chains, short chains, branch chains, rings, sheets, networks. This makes carbon chemistry extraordinarily rich. Many of the molecules in living things are based on carbon frameworks. Sugars, fats, proteins, DNA, cellulose in plants, molecules in skin, hair, food, and fragrance. Carbon is like a quiet builder, a patient architect. It can make simple molecules like methane, and it can also help build enormous molecules with thousands or millions of atoms. The same element appears in pencil graphite, diamond, sugar, wood, oil, protein, and living cells. But the molecules and structures are different. Again, arrangement matters. Carbon shows us that chemistry is not only about ingredients. It is about how those ingredients are connected. Let's look gently at sugar. Sugar is not just sweetness. It is molecular structure. A common sugar, glucose, contains carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Its atoms are arranged in a way that your body can recognize and use. Glucose carries energy. Plants make glucose through photosynthesis. They use sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water to build sugar molecules. In a green leaf, light is gathered. Carbon from the air is captured. Water is used. And molecules of sugar are made. This is one of the quiet miracles happening around us all the time. Sunlight becomes chemical structure. Air becomes plant matter. Water becomes part of sweetness. Atoms from simple molecules are rearranged into larger molecules that store energy. When you eat food, your body can break molecules down. It can release energy. It can rebuild parts of them into the molecules your body needs. A sugar molecule is small compared with a cell, but it is large compared with water. It carries shape, energy, and biological meaning. And it reminds us that molecules are not passive little things. They participate in cycles. Sunlight, plants, food, breath, movement, rest. Molecules also create scent. When you smell something, tiny molecules are entering your nose. They drift through the air. They reach receptors. They fit, interact, and trigger signals. The smell of rain after dry weather. The scent of coffee in the morning. The freshness of mint. The sweetness of vanilla. The soft smell of lavender. The sharpness of vinegar. All of these experiences are molecular. A smell is matter traveling invisibly. It is chemistry becoming memory. Some scent molecules are small and light enough to evaporate easily. They leave a surface and drift into the air. This is one reason scent can feel so ghost-like. It is physical, but invisible. Real, but delicate. A few molecules can cross a room and suddenly bring a memory with them. The smell of rain on warm pavement. The smell of old books. clean laundry, a wooden drawer, ocean air, a kitchen at night, tea leaves opening in hot water, a candle after the flame has just gone out. These experiences may feel emotional, but they begin with molecules, tiny structures drifting through space, reaching the nose, meeting receptors, sending signals into the brain. And because smell is deeply connected with memory, a molecule can feel like a doorway. A small invisible thing can open an entire place inside the mind. This is one of the gentle beauties of chemistry. Matter does not only build objects, it can also build atmosphere, mood, memory, a feeling of home, a feeling of rain, a feeling of something almost forgotten. That is why you can smell flowers from a distance, or tea as it warms, or bread as it bakes. The molecules are moving from the object into the air and toward you. Your brain interprets them as scent. And because scent is closely tied to memory, molecules can bring back entire moments. A childhood kitchen, a rainy street, a garden at night, a clean room, a forest path. A molecule can be tiny, but the feeling it creates can be enormous. Molecules also create taste. When you taste something sweet, sour, salty, bitter, or savory, molecules and ions are interacting with receptors in your mouth. Saltiness comes from ions like sodium. Sourness often comes from acids. Sweetness comes from molecules that fit sweet receptors. Bitterness can come from many different compounds, sometimes plant molecules that evolved as signals or defenses. Umami is connected to molecules like glutamate. You do not need to remember the details. Just notice that taste is not magic in the vague sense. It is intimate chemistry. Matter touching the body. A molecule meeting a receptor. A signal traveling inward. A flavor appearing in awareness. Chocolate tastes rich because of many molecules working together. Coffee tastes complex because roasting creates a whole landscape of compounds. Tea has bitterness, aroma, warmth, and plant chemistry. Fruit tastes sweet and bright because of sugars, acids, and aromatic molecules. Taste is one of the ways the molecular world becomes personal. The world does not only exist around you. It enters experience through chemistry. Molecules help explain color, too. Color comes from how matter interacts with light. Some molecules absorb certain wavelengths of light and reflect or transmit others. This can create the colors we see in leaves, flowers, dyes, pigments, and foods. Chlorophyll is a molecule that helps plants capture light. It gives leaves much of their green appearance. It contains a magnesium atom at its center, held inside a larger molecular structure. This is a beautiful detail. A single metal atom sitting inside a complex molecule, helping life use sunlight. Carotenoids are molecules that can create yellow, orange, and red colors in plants. They appear in carrots, autumn leaves, and many flowers. Anthocyanins can create red, purple, and blue colors in petals and fruits. Again, you do not need to remember the names. You can simply imagine that color is often molecular. A leaf is green because of the way molecules and light interact. A flower is purple because of molecular structures absorbing and reflecting light. A berry is red because molecules shape the light reaching your eyes. The visible world is partly a conversation between molecules and light. Molecules also determine whether something dissolves. You may have heard the phrase, like dissolves like. It means that substances often dissolve well in solvents with similar kinds of molecular attractions. Water is polar. So water is good at dissolving many polar substances and ionic compounds. Salt dissolves in water because water molecules can surround sodium and chloride ions. The slightly negative oxygen side of water is attracted to positive sodium ions. The slightly positive hydrogen side is attracted to negative chloride ions. The crystal breaks apart. The ions become surrounded by water. The salt seems to disappear. But it has not truly vanished. It is separated into particles too small to see. Sugar also dissolves in water because sugar molecules can interact with water molecules. Oil, however, does not dissolve well in water. Oil molecules are mostly nonpolar. They do not interact with water in the same comfortable way. So oil and water separate. This simple everyday observation is molecular. Salt disappearing in soup. Sugar dissolving in tea. Oil floating in droplets. Soap washing grease from a dish. All of these are stories about molecular attraction. Soap is a particularly lovely molecule to think about. A soap molecule has two different kinds of parts. One end likes water. The other end likes oil and grease. This gives soap a special ability. It can connect the watery world and the oily world. When you wash your hands, soap molecules surround oily dirt and grease. Their oil-loving tails point inward. Their water-loving heads point outward. Together, they can form tiny structures that help lift grease away and carry it into water. This is why soap works. Not by simply making water slippery, but by using molecular structure. One molecule with two different personalities. One part reaching toward water. One part reaching toward oil. A tiny bridge. A quiet mediator. A molecule that helps things separate from skin and flow away. Even an everyday act like washing your hands is full of molecular design. Now let's bring molecules into an ordinary evening. A quiet night routine is full of molecular stories. If you make tea, hot water begins pulling molecules from the leaves. Some create color. Some create bitterness. Some create aroma. Some drift upward with the steam. If there is a glass of water beside the bed, the water molecules are gathering quietly, moving even when the surface looks still. If you washed your hands, soap molecules helped water carry away oils and tiny particles. If you used lavender, mint, citrus, or any soft scent, molecules from that scent moved into the air. If you lit a candle, wax molecules reacted with oxygen, releasing light, warmth, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. If the candle is now out, faint scent molecules may still drift from the warm wax and the wick. If you are under a blanket, long polymer molecules in the fabric are holding together as fibers. If the sheets smell clean, that too is chemistry. Volatile molecules from soap, detergent, fabric, and air create the impression of freshness. If there is a book nearby, paper molecules made from plant cellulose hold ink on a page. If there is a wooden table, cellulose and lignin help give the wood its structure. If there is a phone on the nightstand, molecules and materials inside it hold charge, conduct electricity, protect glass, and support tiny circuits. A room at night may feel simple. Dim light, soft fabric, air, water, a quiet object on a table. But underneath, it is a molecular landscape. The evening is made of molecules. Comfort is made of molecules. Warmth, scent, softness, taste, and breath all have molecular roots. And you do not need to analyze any of it. You can simply rest inside it. Now let's pause again. If the chemistry is becoming detailed, let it soften. You do not need to remember polarity, or ions, or solubility, or molecular receptors. You can let the words become background. Just keep the gentle pattern. Molecules have shapes. Molecules have attractions. Molecules interact. Because of that, water flows. Salt dissolves. Soap cleans. Flowers have scent. Leaves have color. Food has taste. Life has structure. The world becomes familiar through invisible arrangements. And you can rest while those arrangements continue quietly around you. Molecules can be small, but some molecules are very large. Large molecules are sometimes called macromolecules. In living things, macromolecules are essential. Proteins, DNA, RNA, starches, cellulose, fats and complex lipids. These are not simple little molecules like oxygen or water. They can contain hundreds, thousands, or even millions of atoms. They fold, twist, stack, coil, branch, and their shapes matter deeply. A protein is made from smaller building blocks called amino acids. The chain of amino acids folds into a specific shape. That shape allows the protein to do its job. Some proteins carry oxygen. Some help chemical reactions happen. Some form structures. Some help cells communicate. Some move things. Some defend the body. A protein is not only a string of atoms. It is a folded molecular machine. Soft, dynamic, and specific. DNA is another large molecule. It carries genetic information. Its famous double helix shape is built from atoms arranged in a long repeating structure. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus. The same elements we have met before, arranged into a molecule that carries instructions for life. It is strange and beautiful to think that life's information is stored in matter, not in something separate from chemistry, but in molecular structure, in atoms connected in a particular order, in a shape that can be copied, read, and repaired. Cellulose is another large molecule. It is found in plant cell walls. It helps give plant structure. Wood, cotton, paper, leaves, and stems all contain cellulose. Cellulose is made from sugar units connected into long chains. Your body cannot digest cellulose well, but many animals and microbes can break it down with help from specialized enzymes or symbiotic organisms. This means the same kind of molecular material can be food for one creature and fiber for another. Again, chemistry depends on interaction. What a molecule does depends not only on itself, but also on what it meets. Starch is also made from sugar units, but arranged differently from cellulose. Your body can digest starch more easily. So arrangement matters again. Similar building blocks. Different connections. Different properties. Different role in life. The molecular world keeps returning to this idea. Atoms matter. But arrangement matters too. Connection matters. Shape matters. Pattern matters. Molecules also appear in materials that are not alive. Plastics, for example, are made from long-chain-like molecules called polymers. A polymer is a large molecule made from repeating smaller units. Some polymers are natural. Cellulose is a natural polymer. Proteins are natural polymers. DNA is a natural polymer. Other polymers are synthetic. Plastics, nylon, polyester, silicone materials. These materials can be flexible, hard, transparent, soft, stretchy, or resistant, depending on molecular structure. A plastic bottle, a synthetic blanket, a rubbery phone case, a nylon thread, a lens, a film, a container, a piece of packaging. All of these may involve polymers. Long molecular chains tangled, aligned, cross-linked, or folded in different ways. This is another example of the invisible becoming visible. The feel of a material in your hand comes from molecules too small to see. Softness, stretchiness, strength, flexibility, transparency, all shaped by molecular arrangement. Molecules can also form crystals. In a crystal, particles are arranged in a repeating pattern. Sometimes these particles are molecules. Sometimes they are atoms. Sometimes they are ions. Salt crystals are made from sodium and chloride ions arranged in a repeating lattice. Snowflakes are made from water molecules arranging into ice crystals. Quartz is made from silicon and oxygen in a repeating network. Sugar can form crystals. Many minerals grow as crystals. Crystals are visible order. A repeating microscopic pattern made large enough to see. This is why crystals can have flat faces and geometric shapes. The shape outside reflects order inside. A snowflake is delicate because water molecules arrange under cold atmospheric conditions. A salt crystal is cubic because of the way sodium and chloride ions pack together. A quartz crystal grows from silicon and oxygen patterns repeating over and over. There is something sleep-friendly about crystals. They are quiet, geometric, patient. They grow slowly. They hold their structure. They reveal that molecules and ions can settle into order. Molecules also move. They vibrate, rotate, bend, stretch, bump into each other, separate, reconnect. In solids, molecules and atoms vibrate around fixed positions. In liquids, molecules slide past one another. In gases, molecules spread out and move freely. Temperature is related to this motion. When a substance warms, its particles generally move more. When it cools, they move less. Ice melts because water molecules gain enough energy to move out of the rigid pattern of solid ice. Water boils when molecules gain enough energy to escape into the gas phase as vapor. Steam condenses when water vapor cools and molecules come back together into liquid droplets. These changes are familiar. Ice in a glass. Steam above tea. Clouds forming in the sky. Morning dew on grass. Rain falling softly. All of them are molecular motion and arrangement. Matter changing state. Molecules moving differently. The same substance becoming solid, liquid, or gas. Molecules can also react. A chemical reaction happens when atoms are rearranged. Bonds break. New bonds form. Reactants become products. This does not mean atoms disappear. They are reorganized. Like letters rearranged into new words. When wood burns, large carbon-rich molecules react with oxygen. New molecules form, such as carbon dioxide and water vapor. Energy is released as heat and light. When iron rusts, iron atoms react with oxygen and water to form iron oxides. When vinegar and baking soda react, molecules and ions rearrange, producing carbon dioxide gas. When food cooks, many chemical reactions happen. Proteins change shape. Sugars brown. Aromas form. Textures shift. Cooking is molecular transformation. Fire is molecular transformation. Digestion is molecular transformation. Photosynthesis is molecular transformation. Life itself depends on countless controlled reactions happening gently inside cells. You do not need to follow every reaction. Just notice the quiet pattern. Molecules are not frozen forever. They can change. They can break. They can rebuild. They can carry energy from one form to another. Now let's imagine a single molecule of water again. 2 hydrogens. 1 oxygen. Small. Bent. Polar. It may begin in the ocean. It may evaporate into the air. It may join a cloud. It may freeze into a tiny ice crystal. It may fall as snow. It may melt into a stream. It may enter a river. It may pass through a plant. It may become part of a fruit. It may be drunk by an animal. It may become part of blood. It may leave again as breath or sweat. It may return to the air. The molecule changes location. It changes neighbors. It changes state. But the atoms remain connected as water until a chemical reaction changes them. A molecule has a kind of temporary identity, a little arrangement traveling through the world. This is one of the gentle ways to think about chemistry. Molecules are not only objects. They are participants in cycles. They move through air, water, soil, bodies, clouds, and time. Now imagine a molecule of carbon dioxide. Perhaps it leaves your lungs when you exhale. It drifts into the air. A plant may take it in through tiny openings in a leaf. Inside the plant, carbon from carbon dioxide can become part of sugar. That sugar may become part of cellulose, or fruit, or seed, or root. Later, another living thing may eat the plant. The carbon moves again. It becomes energy, body tissue, breath. So a single carbon atom can pass through many molecules. Carbon dioxide, sugar, starch, cellulose, protein. Carbon dioxide again. The atom remains carbon, but the molecules change. The same atom joins different structures, different stories. This is chemistry as a cycle. The world continuously rearranging its tiny pieces. Molecules are also part of sleep, not in a simple magical way, but in the ordinary chemistry of the body. Your body uses molecules as signals. Hormones, neurotransmitters, metabolic molecules. Molecules help cells communicate. They help regulate energy. They help build and repair tissues. They help create rhythms. Melatonin is one molecule associated with sleep timing. Adenosine is another molecule connected to sleep pressure, building up while you are awake and easing during sleep. You do not need to turn this into a biology lesson tonight. Just notice that even rest has chemistry. The body does not stop being molecular when it sleeps. It continues to breathe, repair, signal, balance, move molecules in quiet ways. Sleep is not the absence of chemistry. It is chemistry becoming gentle, rhythmic, and restorative. And now, if you are feeling sleepy, you can let the molecular world become simple again. Atoms connecting, small shapes forming, water molecules gathering, scent molecules drifting, sugar molecules holding energy, soap molecules bridging water and oil, protein molecules folding, DNA molecules carrying information, crystal structures repeating, molecules moving through air, water, bodies, and stars. You do not need to remember the names. You do not need to picture the formulas. You do not need to hold the shapes. The molecules can keep moving without your attention. The water can keep being water. The air can keep drifting. The blanket can keep holding its fibers together. The room can keep its quiet chemistry. Your body can keep its gentle molecular work. Before we end tonight, there is one small thing you can do, only if it feels right. If this kind of slow, gentle chemistry helps you relax, you can subscribe to Gentle Chemistry. There will be more quiet stories about water, fire, crystals, colors, carbon, elements, and the hidden science of everyday things. You can also leave a like if you enjoyed this calm journey through molecules. It helps this little channel reach more sleepy, curious minds who might enjoy learning softly before bed. And if there is a chemistry topic you would like to hear explained slowly, you can leave it in the comments. Maybe water. Maybe fire. Maybe crystals. Maybe chemical bonds. Maybe the chemistry of color. Maybe the quiet chemistry of rain and clouds. But for now, there is nothing else you need to do. No more remembering. No more studying. No more following every molecule. You can let the idea of a molecule soften. A few atoms. A gentle bond. A tiny shape. Then let even that shape fade. Let the molecules in the room continue without your attention. Let water molecules rest in their glass. Let oxygen molecules drift through the air. Let carbon dioxide move slowly with each breath. Let scent molecules disappear into the darkness. Let the fibers of the blanket hold together softly. Let the molecules of the body continue their quiet work. You do not need to guide them. You do not need to name them. You do not need to understand all of them tonight. The tiny world can take care of itself. The molecules can keep moving. The bonds can keep holding. The atoms can keep arranging. The world can keep being quietly made of matter. And you can simply rest. Thank you for spending this calm moment with Gentle Chemistry. If you are still awake, I hope the world feels a little softer and a little more interesting. And if you are beginning to drift away, let the molecular world become distant and quiet. Let the formulas become soft light. Let H2O become a small glowing bend. Let CO2 become a thin straight line that drifts away with a breath. Let sugar become stored sunlight, soft and golden, then fading. Let a scent molecule become a tiny lantern moving through the dark. Let a protein fold quietly like a ribbon finding its shape. Let DNA rest in its spiral, carrying its information without needing to be watched. Let soap molecules release the day from your hands. Let tea molecules cool slowly in a cup. Let water molecules gather together in stillness. Let oxygen molecules drift in. Let carbon dioxide molecules drift out. Let the chemistry of the room continue gently. Let the bonds become thin silver threads. Let the atoms become small sleeping stars. Let the molecules drift slowly in the dark. Let the science become a whisper. And let yourself sleep. Good night.